Today I'm going to give you an introduction and overview of our CO Finder Plus software, which is a software application used to assist in the design of telecommunications networks. The software is a compilation of hundreds of features over the past 20 years, and there isn't enough time to run through everything, so I'm just going to give you some of the main features. The software is updated every month with new NPA NXX data. I'm using the latest version. In this version there's over 240,000 records. So what you have to do is first figure out how to find the central office that you're looking for. So you can use this quick finder and you can search under any number of things. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you a simple lookup here by NPA NXX. Let's just say I'm trying to find 407.245, and that quickly comes up with Bell South Telecommunications, which is in downtown Orlando. And the right side over here operates independently, so I can also use my quick finder over here, and I'm just going to look up another NPA NXX. I use 407.740, which is also near Orlando, right outside of Orlando, and the inner office mileage is 5 miles between those two central offices. You get a lot of detail here. We have silly code, NPA. If you hold your mouse over it, it shows you what all this is. Local access transport area, latitude, longitude, vertical and horizontal coordinates, shows you what county. This is the actual physical street address of that switch. This shows you all the NXXs in that office. And if there's a number range split, it also shows you what that is. There's a list of feature codes. This is submitted to the National Exchange Carrier Association. And this, if you double click on that, it gives you an explanation of what those codes mean. You can also look up, like if you were going to look up by, say, silly code, you could, you don't have to put the whole silly code in. You could put like ORLD, FL, MA, which is basically the same switch that I just looked up. But there are various suffixes on that. And so up here shows that right now I've selected one record of 210 here. If I click on this grid, it shows me all of the silly codes that start with that ORLD, FL, MA that I just clicked on, and shows you the carriers, V&H coordinates, and all that good stuff. If you wanted to look up, let's say you went to carrier name and you weren't really sure exactly what you were looking for, but you knew that the name of the company, the carrier started with Bell. Okay, so when I type that in, I get this narrowed down to about 14,000 results. So I can start narrowing again. And let's say I only want the Bell carrier switches that are located in, let's say, Indiana. So I'll click on Indiana. Now I've further narrowed it down to 356. But let's say I'm only looking for area code 317. So now I've got it narrowed down to 81. And so this would show me all of those switches that fall into that category that have Bell in their name. So I've got it narrowed down to 3 companies here. But let's say I only wanted Indiana Bell, which is 5080, so I've got it narrowed down to 40 switches now. There's a lot of data in here. Now if I go back to, let's just go back to NPA NXX again. And let me go back to my original result, 407.245, which is downtown Orlando. I've got 5 inner office miles. Let's go up to Location Finder. And I'm just going to put the left and the right CO in here that I just looked up. And this is going to give me a graphical representation of those 2 switches. This shows it on Bing Maps. But let's say I wanted to find a local loop distance. So let's go up here to, I'm going to put address as my first point. And I'm going to use my left CO, which was downtown Orlando, but I'm going to put an address in here 500 North Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida. Press enter. That finds the address, relates it to the left central office, which is also downtown Orlando. If you look down here, you can see that I've got a local loop distance of 0.48 miles. So you can use this to calculate local loop distances. But let's say you didn't really know what central office you were looking for. So instead of using the left and right, let's say I just wanted to find a nearby central office. I wasn't really sure which one I wanted. So what I can do is I can click as my point 2, nearby central office, and I can look in here in the list, and it gives me everything close to that address, starting at the closest, and it's actually going out 100 miles in this case. And I can see all of these switches in here. But let's say I wanted to use a level 3 communications switch. So I click on that, and that's located also the same distance, obviously in the same building. That's just a little something you can do with Location Finder. Also have Lat Long Finder in here. This you can use to calculate, you can just put a vertical and horizontal coordinate in here, or you can put a latitude longitude in it. When you type this in, it will calculate back and forth and convert them from one to the other. There's also a batch processor in here, so if you wanted to, let's say you had a whole list of V&H or a whole list of latitude longitude in a spreadsheet, what you could do is you can use CO Finder to convert all of those for you from lat long back to V&H. There's a couple of optional features in here, and this is you can export the data out of CO Finder, and what you do is you select what format you want, whether you want SQL Server, Excel spreadsheet, comma delimited, Microsoft Access. There's all kinds of options in here. You select the number of states that you want, what fields you want, how you want it to be represented, whether it's one record per SILI or one record per NXX code, and how you want the latitude longitude to be displayed. Another optional feature in this software is called Meet Point Finder. And what that does, that calculates the percentage split between these central offices for like inter-office channels. In this case, between Orlando and Winter Park, Orlando gets 60% of the bill, and Embark gets 40%. You can also click on Route Map, and it shows you a map of that particular route. Sometimes there may not be facilities available between those 2 points. So what you can do is you can click on Find Alternate Routes, and what this does is this is finding all of the switches within the local access transport area that you can use to get a circuit from that point A to point B. Now it might end up being complex, but let's say you picked one of these, and it gets a little bit more complicated, because if you didn't have facilities between these 2 points, you might be able to take it out to this point and then back. It's not a very economical way to do it, but it might be a way for you to complete your circuit. And that pretty much completes the overview of CO Finder, and the software comes with unlimited support, and so you can, and a 30-day money back on all of our products.